Hello friends, it's Miss Jamie and I'm so happy to see you today. Let's get started with our song from Miss Nancy. Can you ride your bicycle with me? Here she is.
This is Bicycle from The Seasons. Make sure you're lying down on the ground for this one with your feet in the air, or you can use your hands to go around and around. I'm riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle all around the town. I'm riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle, riding on my bicycle all around the town. My bike goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and up and down. I'm riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle all around the town. My bike goes fast, and my bike goes slow. Go fast again. Fast, and my bike goes slow. I am riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle, riding on my bicycle all around the town. My bike goes twist and turn, twist and turn, twist and turn, and twist and turn. I'm riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle, riding on my bicycle all around the town. My bike goes in and out, in and out, in and out, and in and out. I'm riding on my bicycle, riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle all around the town. My bike has a bell and it goes ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. My bell goes ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. My bell goes ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. My bell goes ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. I am riding on my bicycle, I'm riding on my bicycle, riding on my bicycle all around the town.
Thank you so much, Miss Nancy. Should we wake up Betsy? 1, 2, 3. Say, Betsy, where are you? Betsy Bird, come on out. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. How are you? Hello, Betsy. How are you? Hello, Miss Jamie. How are you? We're so glad to see you. Here, here. We're all here. Here, here. We're all here. Here, here. We're all here. We're all here together. Yay! It's so much fun to see you for virtual preschool. It makes me smile and it makes Betsy so happy. Today we're going to talk about something fun. We are going to talk about shadows. Have you ever gone outside when the sun was shining really brightly and looked down on the ground and noticed the dark spot following you on the ground? Have you ever looked down on the ground and seen your shadow? Has that ever happened to you? Today we're going to talk all about shadows. Shadows happen when there's a bright light, like the sun, and it shines on something else like your hand. Do you see my shadow back on the blue board? Ooh, there are my fingers wiggling. Do you see the shadow? I can make my fingers open and closed and wiggly. A shadow happens anytime there's a bright light and something blocks the light. It makes a shadow. And I have some fun stories and things to tell you about shadows today. First, we're going to sing a little song all about shadows. It's a guessing game. So I'm going to show you a shadow, and you have to try to guess which animal it is. Do you see the shadow? Okay, the song goes like this. See the shadow, just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. What's your guess? Which animal made this shadow? Do you know? It's the dog made the shadow. Yes, that's the dog shadow. Should we try another one? Okay. See the shadow on the, just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. Can you figure it out? Which animal made this shadow with the long tail and the whiskers? I think you're right. Say it really loud. It's the cat made the shadow. The cat. You were right. Should we try another one? Okay, let's try this one. See the shadow, just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. Do you know which shadow this belongs to? Which animal? What's your guess? Yes, it's the fish. The fish made a shadow. That would be tricky. The fish would have to be in its fishbowl to make a shadow on the ground, right? Here's another one. See the shadow, just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. What's your guess? Yes, it's the, yes, bunny. The bunny made a shadow on the ground. This one is a little bit harder. Put on your thinking cap. See the shadow, just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. What's your guess? Which animal made this shadow? It's a hard one. Do you know? It's the lizard. Yes, the lizard made a shadow on the ground. You're good at this. Should we try two more? Oh, I have three more. Should we try three more? Okay, let's try this one. Ready? See the shadow, just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. Do you know? It's a little bird. The bird, you said it. You're so good at guessing the shadows. Okay, I have two more. See the shadow, just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. This is another hard one. Do you know which animal made a shadow like this? Oh, it could be a hippo. You're right. It could. Or it could be a hamster. Yes, that's the hamster shadow. Here's the last one. I think you'll get this one right away. See the shadow, Just look down, just look down. Which animal made this shadow? Which animal made this shadow? On the ground, on the ground. Yes, this is an easy one. Tell me, it's the snake's shadow. Yes, that one was really easy. We saved the easiest one for last. Okay, are you ready for a silly story about shadows? The story starts like this. This is another animal that you might see outside, maybe in the woods or in your backyard, maybe, depends where you live. This animal is called a groundhog. Can you say groundhog? It lives in a hole underground and it peeks its head out and it will run on the grass. It's kind of big, and sometimes if you find them in the woods, they're actually a little mean. They like to chase other animals. It's called a groundhog. Okay, can you remember groundhog? Here's the next part of the story. Every year in Pennsylvania, in the United States and Pennsylvania, there's a town where the people have a groundhog, like this one, whose name is Phil. And what the people do on February 2nd is they put on their fancy clothes and their fancy hats, and they wake up the groundhog from its hole in the ground. They say, "Phil, wake up." They pull the groundhog. Can you see them carrying the groundhog? And there's his name, Phil. They pull the groundhog out of the hole and say, "Wake up." And then they make the groundhog look down on the ground to see if it sees its shadow. This is called Groundhog Day. And the story goes that if the groundhog looks down on the ground and sees its shadow, then we're in for 6 more weeks of snow and winter. But if the groundhog looks down on the ground, and maybe it's too cloudy or the sun isn't up yet, and there's no shadow, it means spring is right around the corner. Now, isn't that a silly story? But it's true. These people in Pennsylvania get all dressed up every year on February 2nd to get Phil, the groundhog, out of his hole to look on the ground for his shadow. And it's coming up soon. Maybe your grown-ups will let you check the news to see if Phil from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, saw his shadow on February 2nd in the morning. You'll have to let me know if Phil sees his shadow. You'll see it on the news. They put pictures on the newspaper and sometimes even a video on the news of all the people in Pennsylvania, in that town, checking to see if the groundhog sees its shadow. It's like the groundhog is a weatherman. So we're going to play a little game that is like Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog in Pennsylvania. It's called Where's the Shadow? And I have 10 groundhogs. Let's count them. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll do 5 more. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 groundhogs and 1 shadow. I'm going to hide the shadow and we're going to see if we can find which groundhog lost its shadow. No peeking. You can look over here at the shadow song. And I will hide the shadow behind one of the groundhogs. Can you say this poem with me? The groundhog lost its shadow. Where can it be? Pick a groundhog. Let's look and see. Which number would you like to check first? What's your favorite number? 5? Are you 5 years old? It's not behind number 5. That was a good guess. Where's the shadow? 1. I hear some friends yelling, 1. We can try 1. Not behind number 1, but that was a good guess. Should we try one on the second row? Which number do you like? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tell me which one you'd like to check. 10? Okay, we can look. Oh, not there, but good guess. Where's that shadow? What's your next guess? 7? Okay, we can check behind 7. Good guess, it wasn't behind number 7. Where's the shadow? 8? Okay, let's look and see. You did it! You found the groundhog's shadow. Should we play one more time? Okay, let's turn over number 1. And way back here, number 5, 6. Do you know which one comes next? 7, good. 8, 9, 10. Ooh, you're good with your numbers. Okay, I'm going to hide the shadow, but you're not allowed to peek. Okay, I found a good spot for it. The groundhog lost its shadow. Where can it be? Pick a groundhog. Let's look and see. Which one would you like to check? Number 4? Okay, let's look. It wasn't behind number 4, but that was a good guess. Where's the shadow? Number 1? We can do number 1 again. Not there. Good guess. You like that top row, don't you? What's our next guess? 3? Okay. No, it wasn't number 3. All right, tell me your favorite number really loud so I can hear you. Number 9. I hear some friends saying 9. It wasn't behind number 9. Where should we look next? 2? Okay, let's look behind 2. You did it! You found the shadow. The shadow is hiding behind groundhog number 2. Give your brain a kiss. Brain, good job playing that game and waiting your turn. I'm very proud of you. Let's take these down because I have a good book to read to you and I want you to be able to look at the pictures of this book. Okay, this is a book called Groundhog's Runaway Shadow. Do you know what it means if something is a runaway? It means it runs away and gets lost. And that's exactly what happens to Groundhog's shadow in this book. Groundhog and Shadow are always best friends until Groundhog gets a little bit older and then Shadow decides to run away. This is not a true story. This is a fiction book. It means it's just pretend, just make-believe, called Groundhog's Runaway Shadow by David Bedrieski. Let's read it. Here's the title page. Groundhog's Runaway Shadow. The only thing that could keep up with little Phil Groundhog was his shadow. Do you see the shadow there? No matter how fast he ran or how high he jumped, his shadow followed his every move. Whether he laughed or cried, his shadow was always right there beside him. Even when Phil felt small, his shadow could make him feel bigger. Do you see how big his shadow looks on the wall? But everyone grows up, even groundhogs and their shadows. Can you see the shadow in each picture? Grown-up groundhogs are expected to act a certain way, but Phil's shadow had other plans. This picture makes me giggle. because Phil looks so serious, and the groundhog looks like he's playing a trumpet and having fun making music. Does this page make you smile too? Phil's idea of the perfect vacation was taking the bus to the local beach. Shadow dreamed of visiting faraway places. Phil loved scary movies. Shadow, not so much. Phil enjoyed eating dandelions, clover, and tree bark. Shadow craved something spicy. Phil liked to be on time. Shadow liked to stop and smell the roses. At first, Phil found Shadow's behavior amusing, but a little off-key. Phil's friends found it amazing and a little gross. But soon it got annoying and then downright embarrassing. Phil had had enough. Why can't you be like other shadows? I wish you would just go away. Shadow was crushed. He got angry, but then he thought about it. Phil said he should go away, and he had always wanted to travel. So that night and the next morning and a couple of days later and into the following week, that's exactly what he did. Do you see the shadow on the boat and the pyramids? Back at home, Phil tried everything to find his shadow. Oh, Shadow, where are you? He posted signs. He used the newspaper. You see, he made a lost sign. It says, Groundhog seeks Shadow. Then he saw Shadow making news. This newspaper says there's a mysterious shadow seen at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Do you see the shadow there? Without him! Suddenly, Phil's life seemed pretty dull. He longed to be exploring with Shadow. Halfway around the world, Shadow realized something was missing. He had no one to share in his adventures. Do you see each of the animals has a shadow on the wall? The sheep, you see the giraffe, the hippo. What is that? Is that an anteater? The elephant. Everybody has a shadow. And here's Shadow with no groundhog, just by himself. Have you ever seen a shadow just by itself? The thought of searching for Shadow scared Phil silly. He'd have to travel far and wide. But the next morning and a couple of days later and into the following week, that's exactly what he did. He searched. Shadow, 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 and searched. Shadow, and searched some more. Finally, when he could search no longer, he had an idea. What's his idea going to be? What's he going to do to try to find his shadow? He got out his instrument. He began to play. And when he did, he heard someone gently accompanying him. The two friends played together, this time in perfect harmony. And the next morning, and a couple of days later, and forever after, that's exactly what they did. You see Shadow's playing his trumpet again. Except sometimes on February 2nd. Remember, that's the day I told you. February 2nd is the day that they search for Shadow for Punxsutawney Phil's shadow. And here, there's Phil, and he's saying, shadow? And look, Shadow's nowhere to be found. Sometimes you can't find him on February 2nd. Isn't that sort of a silly thing? Have you ever heard of such a silly thing as people getting dressed up to go outside and look for a groundhog's shadow? But that's what happens on February 2nd in Pennsylvania. Friends, I have a fun idea for you for your home project today. I'm wondering if you can you make a shadow with your hands? You can make a shadow and use a flashlight or the sunshine if it's sunshiny out at your house, and try to make different shapes with your hands or with your body to make a shadow shape. Would you like to see what I mean? I think I can show you here. I can put this pocket chart all the way to the back so that you can see this whiteboard. Do you see that? And I'm going to turn on my flashlight and hold my hand like this. Do you see? I can make a little bunny, or I can make what is that? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Maybe an alligator? Whoop. Alligator, alligator, alligator. Or is it a duck? Quack, 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 quack. Do you see that shadow that I've made on the wall? Quack, 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 quack. Just by shining the flashlight onto my hand. And so I wonder if you could take a flashlight around your house and make different shadows. You can make tall shadows, and you can play all day with a flashlight trying to make different shadow shapes. Do you think you could make your own shadow just like Phil did and just like this one in the picture? You can make your fingers into different shapes. Like, what did I have? Duck, quack, 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 right? Or like this. That would be so much fun. I would love to hear if you can make your own finger puppet shadows with a flashlight. If you're outside, you could also think about tracing your shadow with some sidewalk chalk, and then when you move away, you can see the shape of your shadow. That's fun if it's sunny and there's not snow on the ground at your house. Well, friends, I love talking about shadows with you today, and it's time for us to call Betsy back. 1, 2, 3, say, Betsy, come back. Hello, friends. I wonder what shape Betsy's shadow would be. Should we try Betsy on a shadow? I wonder what she would look like if we made her into a shadow. Should we try it and see what she looks like as a shadow? Okay. Oh, she looks big, doesn't she? If I take the flashlight and shine it here at Betsy, do you see her big shadow? Ooh, where is it? Ooh, this way. Hi, hi, hi. Oh, you can see her tongue and her feathers up on top. Do you see that? Hello, friends. Do you see my shadow? Betsy makes a fun shadow, doesn't she? All right, Betsy, it's time for us to say goodbye to our friends, and then we can play with our shadows later, okay? Preschool time is over now, over now, over now. Preschool time is over now for another day. Wave goodbye to all of our friends, all of our friends, all of our friends. Wave goodbye to all of our friends. It's time to stay home and play with our shadows. Hip, hip, hooray! Do you have any birdseed for Betsy? All right. And here's your play pack all about groundhogs and shadows. It's a fun one today. And it doesn't require any extra materials, just some light. Yeah. Betsy would like some birdseed, please. Will you throw it this way? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, friends. Would you like to catch Betsy's kiss? Hold out your hand. Catch it. Stick it to your cheek. Give yourself a big hug. We think you're awesome. We love doing virtual preschool with you. We can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye, friends.